再不改就来不及了。
Entrepreneurs and office workers in Hefei are facing a collective credit crisis. You could be the next victim. The numbers are heartbreaking. 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs and office workers in Hefei are in credit trouble. Small business owners are seeing their credit cards completely blocked, and office workers are struggling with mortgage payments. This is not an exaggeration. Within 3 years of the pandemic, the average debt of entrepreneurs and office workers with 30-year mortgages has surged by 200%. What's even more alarming is that these people who create 80% of the country's jobs and contribute 60% of tax revenues are being pushed to the brink by an outdated credit system. Over the past year, I've observed a troubling trend. A government worker earning 3,000 yuan a month has a credit score of over 750, while a business owner who pays millions in taxes ends up on the blacklist. Ridiculous, isn't it? The current credit rules are punishing those who actually do the work. If you fail in business, does that mean your credit is permanently destroyed? If you miss a mortgage payment, does that mean you'll never recover? Right now, as someone with a decade of experience in finance, I'm calling for an immediate credit amnesty program. We need a system that allows for failure in entrepreneurship, a mortgage deferral plan, and a new credit evaluation framework that rewards hard work.
咱们中国的征信系统
China's credit system has basically been paralyzed for a while now. It's on the verge of collapse. If banks continue issuing loans based on this system, it's only a matter of time before they fail. I work in the used car business. Out of 10 customers applying for a car loan, 7 or 8 have bad credit. They're either blacklisted or have overdue payments. Most of them are men. Fewer women are affected. The majority of those struggling with bad credit are the ones trying to start businesses. These are people with real skills, whether they're white-collar professionals, small business owners, or private entrepreneurs buying cars, houses, or investing in their businesses. But after 3 years of the pandemic, the credit system has been completely wrecked. From a broader social perspective, these are the people who drive GDP and create value. They generate high tax revenues and are the backbone of the economy. But with their credit status collapsing, the used car market is also falling apart. If people can't get loans to buy cars, economic circulation slows down. When no one is buying cars, prices drop, and vehicles, like real estate, start to crash. Just look at the market. New energy vehicles are now selling at 50% to 60% of their original price. The same goes for gasoline cars. Dealers are offering zero-interest financing, no down payment, and monthly installments, yet buyers are still hesitant. It's all a chain reaction. The people who can't buy cars are the ones who keep pushing society forward. Now, look at those with good credit. The only ones left are government workers, public sector employees, corporate staff, and regular office workers. These are the people who have never run a business. They're the only ones still able to maintain their credit standing. So what is a credit reporting system? On the surface, it is a data network led by the central bank with commercial banks and some internet platforms working together to assess the credit worthiness of individuals and businesses. This system plays a crucial role in maintaining financial order. The discredited individuals list, commonly known as a blacklist, records those who refuse to fulfill obligations due to major financial disputes or court rulings. Recent data shows that as credit systems continue to expand, more than 900 million people in China now have personal credit records. According to data from the People's Bank of China and its Credit Reference Center, the proportion of bad records, including serious overdue payments and defaults, is estimated to be between 1% and 3%. However, given the vast population covered, this translates to tens of millions of people affected.
你有没有算过自己距离债务究竟有多深？
Have you ever calculated how close you are to being in debt? I recently saw a piece of news that left me stunned. There's a loan platform on Baidu called Du Xiaomen Lending, and the total amount of loans issued through it has reached 2 trillion yuan, which is about 277 billion US dollars. Do you know what 2 trillion yuan means? It's such a massive number that it's hard to even imagine. If you break it down, it's like everyone is silently carrying a heavy financial burden. Online loan platforms are spreading like wildfire. Open any app on your phone, and suddenly a loan ad pops up. There are countless loan apps across the country, and their combined scale is beyond imagination. The collapse of the credit reporting system has also exposed serious issues. People who face poor credit standings have various restrictions on their daily lives and economic activities.
第一个就是你的征信会黑，那么申请信用卡。
The first thing that will happen is your credit score will tank. That means you won't be able to get a credit card, an online loan, or a bank loan. And to be honest, once you start missing payments, you probably won't be using those things anymore anyway. Then there's job applications. Forget about applying to major companies or government positions. These employers check your credit report before hiring, and if your credit is bad, you won't even be considered. The second thing is that once you start missing payments, you'll be stuck in a long and brutal debt collection process. The first 3 months will be especially rough because you've never been through anything like this before. Then, after 3 months, your case gets transferred to an outsourced collection agency. Let me tell you, these collectors are ruthless. They don't care about your situation, they won't sympathize, and nothing you say will change their approach. They'll do whatever it takes to squeeze money out of you, using the most aggressive tactics imaginable. Every day, they'll call you right on time, threatening lawsuits, home visits, or legal action. They'll tell you they're coming to your house. If you don't pay by a certain time, they'll threaten consequences. Some even go as far as saying it'll ruin your child's future or affect your parents. It's all part of their debt collection playbook. Personal credit records can also affect approval process for mobile phone and internet service contracts. They even extend to areas such as travel, hotel bookings, and car rentals. At the same time, some companies consider credit records when making hiring or promotional decisions, making credit history a key part of an individual's social capital.
千万别为了几千几万块钱
Never ruin your credit over a few thousand or even tens of thousands of yuan. Your credit is worth at least a few million. If you're in debt and can't pay it back, especially if you're young, borrow from family, ask for help, find another way. Don't let short-term problems destroy your future. Remember this, if one day you want to do something big, but your credit is ruined, you won't even have the chance. Your credit is your last safety net, your only shot at turning things around. Do you understand? However, in addition to individuals struggling to repay debts, banks and credit reporting platforms also have complex mechanisms. Their operating models and risk control strategies are often tied to intricate financial interests and systemic loopholes.
再说，银行和平台干的那些破事儿。
Let's talk about the shady things banks and loan platforms are doing. Take a 12,000 yuan installment loan spread over 12 months. By the last month, you've only got 1,000 yuan on the principal left, but they're still charging interest on the full 12,000. You call that a service fee? That's loan sharking. Withdraw 10,000 yuan using a credit card, and they deduct 60 yuan, of which the bank pockets 45. Then they turn around and accuse you of illegal cash withdrawals. Isn't that just criminals scamming criminals while pretending to be righteous? And the worst part? The pandemic exposed it all. Developers ran off with buyers' money, and the banks insisted mortgage payments couldn't stop. Stockholders got trapped in losses, and brokers told them to accept the risk. But if you're late on an online loan by just 3 days, you're labeled a dishonest debtor. So are regular people expected to shoulder all the financial risks? No wonder those in debt are now fighting back against collectors. Where was the bank's screening process when they were handing out loans so freely? Young people today have figured it out. They can barely afford food. Why should they care about their credit score? They pay rent in cash, take jobs that don't require social security payments, and set debt collection calls as their morning alarm. It's not that they've become irresponsible. They've just seen through the system. If the rules are rigged in your favor, why should we play by them? So don't lecture me about paying back what you owe, being some kind of moral duty. First, ask who sold people on big dreams, who lured them into consumer traps, and who built this cycle of debt. When borrowing money becomes a necessity just to survive, repaying it stops being about morality. It becomes a fight for survival. Some people have warned that in addition to being cautious with banks, it is also important to be wary of certain online lending platforms.
你有没有算过自己距离债务究竟？
Let's talk about these online loan platforms. No matter what you're doing, ordering takeout, watching short videos, or using a chat app, there's always a loan offer popping up. They keep sending messages, telling you that they have a 200,000 or 300,000 yuan credit limit. They use ads to lure you in. And then there's a buy now, pay later option. Now you can use it for online shopping, takeout, and even ride shares. Some people have even activated it on WeChat. You can spend money you don't have and pay later. On the surface, it looks like it's helping ordinary people increase their spending power. But let's be real. It's just misleading young people into overspending. Am I right? Driven by risk control and profit maximization, banks and credit reporting platforms have developed a complex operational system. From data collection and credit scoring to product design and risk control, every step could become an entry point for financial pitfalls. In response, some people have raised concerns.
If
they don't reform this credit system, forget about banks surviving. The whole economy has no chance of developing. January is usually a good month for banks, a fresh start to the year. But right now, bank executives can't even sleep at night because they can't lend money out. The people who actually need loans, 80% of them, can't get one anymore because their credit is ruined. Don't ask me how I know all this. I've been dealing with loans for 13 years. I know exactly what's going on. The ones who truly need money, they can't get approved because of credit issues. Meanwhile, those with good credit aren't buying cars, aren't buying houses, and have some savings. They are living a comfortable life and don't need loans, and they definitely aren't starting businesses. But tell me, is economic growth driven by people like that? No. It's the entrepreneurs, the risk takers who actually push the economy forward. And now we're stuck in a deadlock. If the credit system doesn't change, I'm telling you, there's no hope for economic growth.
A partner at Zhejiang Hanzhou Haihao law firm, Shen Yifan, told overseas media that since the pandemic, he has handled a growing number of bankruptcy liquidation cases. A typical example involves restaurant owners who fail to repay business loans on time and end up on the discredited individuals list. In addition, two other groups are facing significant challenges. One group consists of homeowners who bought properties before the pandemic during China's property boom. They took out bank loans, but after developers abandoned projects, their homes were never completed. Despite this, they must continue making high mortgage payments. If they default, they are labeled dishonest debtors and placed on the credit blacklist. Beijing Youth Daily previously reported on a mother and daughter in Guangxi who purchased an apartment in 2019 and took out a mortgage from a local bank. However, the developer fled with the funds, leaving the project unfinished. The mother and daughter sued the bank to stop the mortgage payments, but the court did not issue a ruling. As a result, they stopped making payments, and 3 months later, they were placed on the credit blacklist. In that housing project alone, more than 200 homeowners faced the same issue and filed similar lawsuits, but the court refused to accept their cases. Another affected group consists of individuals registered as legal representatives of bank companies. This includes not only entrepreneurs whose businesses failed, but also people who are designated as company representatives despite receiving no compensation, having no involvement in operations, and not being shareholders. When these companies go bankrupt, those listed as legal representatives are held financially responsible and placed on the credit blacklist. Once celebrated as entrepreneurial heroes, many have now been labeled as credit risks. China's credit system appears increasingly unstable, with mounting concerns about its collapse. But what led to this so-called credit collapse? First, the stability of China's credit reporting system is closely tied to the economy. The two influence and constrain each other. Looking back at China's economic growth over the past decades, rapid expansion fueled a nationwide wave of entrepreneurship. However, as growth slowed, domestic demand weakened, and external demand declined, small and medium-sized enterprises faced significant survival challenges. The pandemic and external economic shifts further destabilized supply and demand chains. Many small business owners saw their orders shrink drastically, making it difficult to repay loans. In response, financial institutions tightened their risk control standards. Another factor contributing to the decline of China's credit system is a shift in government policy. The establishment and operation of China's credit system are heavily shaped by state-led regulations and policies. While the government has promoted credit informatization, enact regulations, and set supervisory standards, some observers argue that excessive policy control has made data collection, approval processes, and error correction mechanisms less flexible and transparent. This, in turn, has hindered the healthy development of the credit system. Moreover, the Chinese Communist Party often prioritizes overall stability in policy making rather than ensuring the flexibility and autonomy of small businesses. Frequent policy shifts at both central and local levels have led to abrupt changes in industry support measures, leaving small business owners struggling with unpredictable loan cycles. If their cash flow is disrupted, they risk being placed on the credit blacklist. However, some business owners' missteps have also contributed to the problem. Many have admitted we paid the price for chasing the Chinese dream. Some borrowed excessively and expanded recklessly without proper risk management or stable financial structures. When market conditions changed, they found themselves unable to meet their obligations, resulting in overdue payments and defaults. Others lacked a strong sense of financial responsibility, failing to fully understand contract terms and loan conditions. Some even took a risky approach, assuming they could turn to banks or private lenders for last-minute bailouts, leading to excessive borrowing and further credit issues. During times of rapid economic growth, these entrepreneurs followed government policies and market trends, taking bold risks to build new industries. But when conditions changed suddenly, they found themselves pushed into financial distress and placed on a credit blacklist with little chance of recovery.